Hey, what's up, guys? Just wanted to check in. First of all, thank you for the call last night. That was an awesome call. Thank you for the posts and the shares. And I think one of the things that came up for me is, what becomes really evident when we start to reflect on our lives is all the different belief systems that we've created from the old stories. So Linda had an amazing share. She was talking about, something that happened to her when she was in eighth grade. Right? This idea of, I start to compromise myself early on in these things that take place for me early on in my life. And I make decisions about what I need to do and how I need to show up in order to receive love. So Linda was telling the example about how she copied what her friends were doing, and she wasn't vulnerable, she wasn't honest. My question for you, Linda, and everybody else, as we look at ourselves and as we look at the different situations in our lives and the belief systems that we've created, is how are you doing that today? If it's for Linda, like, how are you not being honest with yourself today? What are the situations in your life, whether it's with your friends, your family, your work, yourself? When are you not fully honest with yourself? And where do you just kind of copy what you think everybody else wants you to do, or what you think is expected of you? There's so many times that we have to look at, not only the things that are happening, but how that's manifested in our lives today. So this week, again, has been all about self-awareness. So part of the invitation, and I talked to you guys about last night, but was talking about this comfort zone piece. And part of this next invitation is really getting clear about what are my belief systems about myself. What are the things that I actually believe? What are the things that have taken place? One of the things that I talk about a lot with my coaching clients is this idea of creating a timeline. A timeline of all the different watermarks in your life. And we do that from a content perspective, but I think it's really awesome to do it also from a belief perspective. So think about you as a younger self, maybe from a time that you could remember, and just kind of maybe play it all the way up into adulthood. What are all the different memorable moments, whether that was interactions with friends, interactions with family, interactions at school and sports? What were the things that happened to you, and what was the meaning that you created from it? And then once you have an identity of that, start to look at how has that meaning shaped my life? Or how has that meaning shaped my destiny? Earlier I told the story about when I was in the fourth grade, right? And in fourth grade, I was taking the spelling test, and on the spelling test, I was supposed to write the word shirt, and I wrote the word shit. And my teacher held me after class, and I didn't know, I didn't know I was from fourth grade, and I wasn't a great speller back then. And she held me after class, but I made a decision from that moment on that school wasn't for me, and it was all about sports, right? And I remember how that decision basically dictated my behavior all the way through high school. All the way through high school, I had this belief system that I'm not good at school, but I'm really good at sports. And there was a positive side of that. I excelled in sports. But there was also a very negative part of that, which was I was always that kid in the back of the class, always that kid kicked out, always that kid kind of, talking to friends. And the truth about it is I almost didn't graduate high school. I graduated high school with a 2.2 GPA, which is a C average, right? Just above a C average. And the reason why I had a C average was because if I didn't have a C average, then I couldn't play sports. And I had all these other classes, right? I had basketball, PE, football, PE, that kind of offset my different grades. But I really just let go of this idea that I could even be successful, and I just chose not to be, right? And things changed over time, and that was really the kind of the kick in the pants that I needed, because at the time, I'd wanted to go to the University of Hawaii. I wanted to play basketball at all these different schools. I had a couple different offers to some D1 schools in California, and I couldn't get in because of the grades. So I went to junior college. And in junior college, I started working for this program called Super Camp, where I started learning this different content and curriculum. I learned these different strategies academically, and it shifted my belief system around academics. It said to me that, academics can be fun. And there was a shift that took place, and I said, why don't I start to practice this in my life? And as I started to put that practice into my life, it also shifted the way that I show up in the world, right? I went on to get into the University of Hawaii. I ended up graduating with a 3.65 cumulative GPA, which means that every single class that I went to was either an A or a B minus. Every single class, every single test, every single exam for that 4 years. And it's amazing what a belief system can do in the results in our lives. So one of the things that you want to look at is, what are the belief systems I have? Where do they come from, and how are they influencing me now? How are they influencing me now? And if they're a positive influence, then awesome. But if they're a negative influence or a restricting influence, and in fact, a lot of the belief systems we have are the things that hold us, trapped. And this is one of the things that we talked about last night. What's up, Latoya? What's up, Socorro? How are you? Good to see you guys. This is one of the things that we talked about last night. We talked about this idea about paradigms, our beliefs. They're so awesome, right? They allow us to function, right? They allow us to be successful in certain environments. They give us certainty. They say, when I show up like this, I'm going to receive love. Or when I don't show up like this, I'm not going to receive love. All these different rules that we create. Hey, how are you? And but at the same time, those things also keep us trapped if we stay stuck within those things. If we stay stuck within those things, then they keep us as prisoner. And we were talking about, all the different examples of, free yourself from the prison of your mind. And how a jail cell, even though it can feel comfortable at first, is really it's a trap. It's a trap. And paradigms are the same way. Belief systems are the same way. Models are the same way. So whether it's you in your life or you in your business or you in relationships, we have models around everything. And this is the thing that you have to realize, is that around every category of our life, we have some models of what allows us to be successful, what allows us not to be successful. And the invitation is to start to think outside of your own box. You hear that all the time. But what does that mean? Think outside of your paradigm. Think differently. Try on a different belief, try on a different practice, try on a different mindset, try on a different set of rules, that relationships can be ... right? Or men are like ... or my family and my relationship with my mother is ... or who I am and what I'm deserved of in my life is this. And just try on these different things. And this is what part of your meditation, part of your practice is about, and part of the awareness is so that you can get in connection with yourself and you can kind of speak into the belief systems that are speaking through you, if that makes sense. There's a communication that's happening through us in our meditation. There's a communication that's happening through us in our journaling. And that thing that's emerging, and we talked about this on the call, all these things are bubbling out. What is there for you to speak to, and how do you create from that space? But instantly what's going to happen is, as you step through that space, you're going to be confronted by those old beliefs. You're going to be confronted by the things that happened when you were in 8th grade, when you were in 4th grade, when you were in 6th grade, when you were 15 years old. And for most of us, that was like 20 years ago. And we're still playing by the same rules. And we're wondering why we feel trapped, because we're no longer those people. They might have made sense to us then, but here we are 20 years later wondering why it's not working. All right, so the freedom in that is, first of all, awareness. Second of all, intuition and insight into yourself. And then a recreation, an ability to step outside of the box, an ability to see it in a different perspective. And how you can do that is by changing your environment, changing your conditioning, monitoring your responses and your reactions, and looking at your behaviors and looking to do something else. I'm starting to jot down preconceived beliefs. I want to recognize them first. Absolutely. Recognize them first. That's what I just suggested in the timeline exercise, is recognize what those beliefs are first. And if you don't know, just start to ask some questions about some areas in your life where you have some pain, right? If you don't know, ask some questions about the areas in your life when you have some pain. If you have pain in your finances, ask yourself, what's my belief system about finances? If you have pain associated to intimate relationships, ask yourself the question, what are my belief systems about what I'm deserving of in intimate relationships and what they're supposed to be like, right? If you have pain in your career or in your balance or in your ability to be self-expressed, ask yourself, what are my belief systems there? And that's how you can get right to it. My belief system is this, and this is where it came from. And in fact, I've recreated it over and over and over again, because that's the interesting part, right? Is that once we have a belief or once we have a blueprint, we look to recreate it to confirm that belief. We look for situations, for environments, for people that are going to confirm that belief for us. And that's the trip, right? Is that we are at the center of all of it. And we were kind of talking about this yesterday. Latoya's like, we're at the center of everything that we create. We've created it. Based on our standard, based on our belief, based on what's acceptable, based on what we've allowed, we've created that space. And we've invited in, we've given it permission. We say, yes, I invite that. That's normal for me. That's in the realm of okay. Because it somewhat fits into how I perceive myself, how I perceive my value, and what I believe about this situation and circumstance. Right? So one of the things that we want to do, again, is dissolve those things. And that's one of the things that will happen in meditation as you get in touch with the divine, as you get in touch with energy, universe, God, whatever you want to call it. As you get in touch with yourself, some of those beliefs will start to dissolve, because you're going to start to see a clear separation between who I am and the belief system I have, or the life that I'm living within this specific category of my life. All right. So I just want to send that out because I was inspired by the post. So thank you for that, Linda. Let's keep on posting in here. We're going to be in here for the next several days until Sunday. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Make sure that as you give to others, that you also practice some self-love to yourself. Okay. So wishing you guys lots of love. We'll see you next time. Peace.